Touch her, and I break your arm.
You think you can stop me? You can't stop me!
Back off now.
She had 2 duffel bags, a quiet stare, and a secret nobody at Ridgemont General ever saw coming. For 3 weeks, everyone underestimated the new nurse. Then, she stopped a slap mid-air, and the entire hospital's decade of silence broke open in front of her. This is the story of Riley Doss, a former U.S. Marine combat medic who walks into a toxic hospital run by a tyrant CEO and refuses to look away. What starts as one act of defiance becomes a movement that exposes years of abuse, cover-ups, and fear, and proves that real courage isn't the absence of fear, it's choosing to stand anyway. Touch her and I break your arm. Nobody in the lobby of Ridgemont General had ever heard anyone say that to Derek Vance, not once, not in 10 years. The staff froze, some ducked behind the front desk. An old nurse whispered, "Don't, he'll really hit her." Derek Vance was the hospital's CEO. He was tall, loud, and used to winning. His hand was already in the air, ready to slap a nurse in front of 40 people. The new nurse did not flinch. Her name was Riley Doss. She was 29. She had started at Ridgemont 3 weeks ago. Everyone thought she was soft. Quiet voice, small smile, the kind of girl who says sorry when someone else bumps into her. That was the mistake. When Derek's hand came down, Riley moved. One twist, one lock. His wrist bent the wrong way, and his knees hit the floor before anyone understood what had happened. The lobby went silent. A doctor near the elevator whispered, "That's not a nurse move. That's a soldier move." Derek screamed from the ground, "Who are you?" Riley looked down at him, calm as still water. "Someone you should not have raised your hand to." 3 weeks earlier, nobody had known her name. Riley Doss showed up at Ridgemont with 2 duffel bags and a quiet stare. She didn't talk about her past. She didn't talk much at all. The other nurses guessed she was shy, maybe scared of the job. Maybe she wouldn't last the month. They were wrong about all of it. What Riley actually did in her first 3 weeks was watch. She watched how nurses' hands shook when Derek Vance's footsteps echoed down the hall. She watched doctors change their answers mid-sentence the second he walked into a room. She watched a young nurse named Bryn get a clipboard thrown at her face, missing by an inch because a form was filled out in the wrong color ink. Nobody looked Derek in the eye, not once, not ever. Riley kept her head down and her eyes open. On her second day, during a 10-minute break, she found an old man in a hallway bed, struggling to breathe. His oxygen tube had slipped. She fixed it without being asked, without logging it, without telling anyone. His daughter cried and hugged her. Riley just nodded and walked away like it was nothing. 2 nurses saw the whole thing and whispered to each other later, "She's too nice for this place. She won't make it a month." They had no idea. One afternoon, Riley was folding gauze in the supply closet when 2 nurses walked past, not knowing she could hear every word. "I can't do another day like yesterday," one said, voice cracking. "He threw my paperwork in the trash because the font was wrong." "What can we do?" the other whispered back. "Nobody touches him. The board loves him. He keeps costs low." Riley said nothing, but she remembered every word. She had met men like Derek before, men who mistook fear for respect, men who used power like a weapon instead of a responsibility. In her old world, men like that didn't last. They got removed fast before they could hurt anyone else. In this world, they got promoted. That night, alone in her apartment, Riley opened a small wooden box she kept on her shelf. Inside was a medal, a set of silver stripes, and a photo of 6 people in desert fatigues, arms around each other, smiling like the war couldn't touch them. 4 of those 6 people were dead now. She had left that life behind, hoping for something quieter. But sitting there, staring at the photo, she understood something. The war didn't end. It just changed uniforms. The next morning, she found Bryn, the nurse who'd had the clipboard thrown at her, sitting alone in the break room, eyes red and swollen. "You okay?" Riley asked gently. Bryn wiped her face fast. "I'm fine, just tired." Riley sat across from her. "You don't have to pretend with me." Something about Riley's steady voice cracked something open in Bryn. "I can't quit," she whispered. "I have student loans, my mom's medical bills. If he blacklists me in this city, I'm done." Riley reached over and squeezed her shoulder, once, firm. "You're not alone anymore." Bryn didn't understand what that meant yet. She would. 2 days later, a man was rushed into the ER with his heart stopped. Every doctor on shift was buried in other emergencies. The room was chaos, monitors beeping, nurses shouting, and in the middle of it, Derek Vance appeared out of nowhere, screaming that his staff were useless. Riley stepped in without asking permission. "Who told you that you could touch him?" Derek snapped. "If we don't shock him in 10 seconds, he's gone," Riley said, already moving. Derek lunged for the defibrillator, trying to rip it from her hands. She ignored him completely. Chest compressions, sharp, clear orders. "Oxygen. Get the paddles ready, now." "You reckless fool," Derek roared. "You're breaking every protocol in this building." Riley delivered the shock. One clean jolt. The man's body jumped, and his heart came back. The room stood frozen. A nurse whispered to another, "She moves like someone who's stood at the edge between life and death before. Many times." Derek stood there, humiliated in front of the whole floor, his face turning a deep, furious red. He jabbed a finger at Riley. "You're fired. Today." The crisis had lasted 4 minutes, but it had already changed everything. As they wheeled the patient to the ICU, Riley stood up slowly, breathing steady, and looked Derek Vance directly in the eyes. For the first time in his career, someone didn't look away. "Your rules almost killed him," she said quietly. "You have no idea who you're dealing with," Derek spat. Riley didn't blink. "Actually, I do." That night, Riley's phone buzzed with strange texts from numbers she didn't recognize. "Watch your back. He'll destroy you. What you did today, I'll never forget it. Please don't leave us." She read everyone slowly. Then she looked at the little wooden box on her shelf. She thought she was done fighting. Maybe the biggest battles weren't fought with weapons. Maybe they were fought standing still while everyone else looked away. The next morning, Derek called an all-staff meeting in the main hall. He wanted to humiliate Riley in front of everyone, make an example out of her. He stepped onto a small stage, smiling like a man who had already won. "Yesterday," he announced, "a new employee disgraced this hospital's name." Nobody looked up. Years of fear had trained them not to. Derek stepped down and walked toward Riley, slow and confident, raising his hand to slap her, right there in front of everyone. He had done this to nurses for 10 years. Nobody had ever stopped him. This time, in less than 2 seconds, Riley twisted his arm and dropped him to his knees. Again, in front of the entire hospital. Gasps rippled through the crowd. A doctor near the front whispered, "That's a military hold. That's not something a regular nurse learns." "What are you?" Derek screamed from the floor. Riley let go of his arm, reached into her scrub pocket, and pulled out an old, worn ID card. United States Marine Corps. Combat medic, rank, sergeant. The whole hall exploded into whispers. "She's a combat medic." That explains everything. A doctor who had been humiliated by Derek for years suddenly burst into tears. "Finally," he choked out. "Finally, someone stood up to him." Derek tried to stand, tried to run, but the crowd blocked his path. A nurse he had screamed at for 3 straight years stepped forward. "We're done staying quiet." And then it broke open. All of it, all at once. He threw things at us. He made us work without pay. He hid mistakes to protect his bonus numbers. The hospital's board members, standing at the back of the hall, went pale. Riley raised her voice, cutting through the noise like a blade. Your culture of fear ends today. That's when the second twist landed. A reporter, one who had been quietly collecting stories about Derek Vance for months, stepped through the crowd with a recorder already running. Security walked Derek Vance out of the building in complete silence. But here's the part nobody in that hall understood yet. Riley hadn't acted on instinct. She had trained for years to control a violent situation without causing real injury. De-escalation, precision, restraint. When Derek's hand came at her face, she had options. Step back, call security, walk away. She chose the hardest option on purpose, because sometimes people need to see a bully fall to believe they're allowed to stand up too. As Derek knelt on the floor, red-faced and shaking with rage, Riley leaned down and said something only he could hear. I've treated soldiers who lost their legs and never complained once. I held a dying friend's hand while he asked about his little brother instead of himself. You're not powerful. You're just loud. And that's over now. A doctor named Priya Okafor, who had worked at Ridgemont for 18 years, stepped forward from the crowd, her voice shaking. 18 years, she said. 18 years I watched him break good people. I stayed quiet because I was scared. I'm done being scared. One by one, more staff spoke. A lab tech described being shoved into a wall over a mislabeled sample. A young doctor detailed years of unpaid overtime. A janitor revealed something that made the room go dead silent. Derek had deleted security footage after violent incidents to cover his tracks. An assistant, someone Derek had insulted daily for 8 years, pulled out her phone. She had recorded him that very morning, saying, I want her gone today. Find me a reason. I don't care what it takes. The board's faces went from pale to horrified. They hadn't just employed a difficult boss, they had employed a criminal. The doors shut behind Derek Vance with a heavy thud. For the first time in a decade, the whole hospital seemed to breathe out at once. Nurses hugged each other, crying. Doctors stood a little taller. Even the maintenance crew seemed to move lighter. An older nurse, 23 years at Ridgemont, walked up to Riley with tears on her face. I have grandchildren, she said. I stayed for the pension. But every day, a piece of me died in this building. You gave something back to me I thought was gone forever. Riley took her hands. You never lost it. You just had to wait for the right moment. The board's chairperson, a woman named Diane Ashford, stepped to the center of the hall. What happened here today should never have been allowed to happen, she said, her voice trembling. We failed you. We ignored warning signs. We chose numbers over people. That stops today. She turned to Riley. Ms. Doss, will you help lead our reform efforts? Riley looked out at every tired, hopeful face in that room. I'll do it, she said, but not alone. This has to be everyone's work. The story spread fast. Hospital CEO exposed after 10 years of abuse. Other hospitals where Derek had once worked started coming forward too. The pattern was undeniable and impossible to bury. The board fired him permanently and turned every file over to the police. Riley began building something new. Anonymous reporting lines that skipped straight to an independent ethics team. Cameras in every public hallway. Real punishment for anyone who raised a hand to staff. She spent her first week just listening. A nurse grabbed by the throat over a dosage question. A doctor threatened with a fake malpractice claim for disagreeing with Derek. A receptionist demoted to a windowless basement for 3 years because Derek said she wasn't pretty enough for the front desk. Riley wrote it all down. She had learned long ago that justice needs proof, not just anger. But she also did something nobody expected. Every single morning, she walked the halls and said hello to everyone by name. Actually listened to the answers. At first, people were careful. They'd been promised change before and burned every time. But Riley kept showing up, day after day, not as a boss, as a person who meant it. Slowly, the frozen hospital started to thaw. 3 weeks after Derek's removal, Dr. Priya Okafor knocked gently on Riley's office door. "Got a minute?" "Always," Riley said. Priya sat down, hands folded tight in her lap. "I wanted to thank you, not just for Derek. For what you're doing now. I've been in medicine 25 years. I forgot what it felt like to actually want to come to work." Riley smiled. "You did the hard part. You spoke up when it mattered most. I just gave you the opening." "Maybe," Priya said, "but you should know. People look up to you now. That's powerful. It's also a heavy thing to carry alone." Riley nodded slowly. "In the Marines, we had a saying, 'Nobody gets left behind.' I'm learning that rule works here too." At a hospital-wide meeting a few weeks later, Riley stood in front of nearly every staff member, no longer in scrubs, her old ID pinned quietly to her blazer. "This isn't about me," she said. "It's about all of you. You survived years of this. You protected patients even when nobody protected you. Now we build something better. Together." The applause wasn't polite. It was loud, long, and real. Derek Vance was formally charged. His license was pulled. His name became something hospitals warned new hires about. Riley was offered a permanent leadership role in staff safety. She said yes, on one condition: staff would lead the changes, not her alone. An anonymous note showed up on her desk one morning. Plain handwriting. "You saved us in ways medicine never taught you to. Thank you for your courage." 6 months later, Ridgemont General didn't look any different on the outside. Same brick, same parking lot. But inside, it was a different world. A young doctor asked a question in a meeting without flinching. A nurse corrected a senior doctor's order without her hands shaking. A janitor hummed while mopping the hallway, something nobody had heard in years. Riley had stepped back from the big leadership title. She went back to what she loved: walking the floor, checking on patients, being present in the small, quiet moments. But her fingerprints were on everything. One evening, her phone rang. Unknown number, out of state. "Is this Riley Doss?" "Speaking." "My name is Jordan Blake. I'm a nurse at a hospital 2 states over. I heard what you did at Ridgemont. Our director, he's just like your old CEO, maybe worse. People are scared and I don't know what to do." Riley closed her eyes and felt the weight of those words settle on her shoulders. She had thought this was one battle, fought once, finished. She was starting to understand it was much bigger than that. "Tell me everything," she said quietly. For the next hour, Jordan described a hospital that sounded exactly like the old Ridgemont. Riley listened, took notes, asked sharp questions. "Here's what you do," she finally said. "Document everything. Get your coworkers on your side quietly. Build your case with real proof. When you have enough, go to your board. And if they don't listen, go to the press. And Jordan, you're not doing this alone. I'll help however I can." When the call ended, Riley stood at her window, looking out at the city lights. She thought about an old rule from her old life: never leave a person behind on the battlefield. It turned out that rule didn't stop just because the war had changed shape. 3 months later, Riley stood on a stage at a national healthcare conference, her old Marine ID clipped to a plain blazer. The room was packed, nurses, doctors, students, all watching with the same tired, hopeful look she remembered from that hall at Ridgemont. "My name is Riley Doss," she began. 8 years ago, I was a combat medic. I treated wounds in the field. I held soldiers' hands while they died. But the hardest fight of my life wasn't overseas. It was in a hospital hallway against a man in a suit who used fear instead of bullets." The room went quiet. "Here's what I learned," she said. "Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's choosing to act anyway. Real change doesn't come from policy alone. It comes from one person standing up, and then another, and another, until standing up becomes normal instead of rare." She paused, letting it land. Some of you in this room are scared right now. Some of you have been silenced. You think you're alone. You're not. There are hundreds of people in this room who understand exactly what you're going through, and thousands more out there who need to hear it too. She held up her old ID card. This badge reminds me where I came from. It doesn't define who I am. What defines all of us is what we do when someone weaker needs protecting. We didn't choose this work to stay quiet. We chose it to heal, and sometimes healing means fighting for people who forgot how to fight for themselves. The applause started slow. Then it rose into a standing ovation that didn't stop for almost 5 full minutes. Afterward, dozens of people came up to her. Some wanted advice. Some just wanted to say thank you. One of them was Jordan Blake, tears streaming down their face. "We did it," Jordan said. "Our director's gone. The board apologized in public. They asked me to help lead the changes. Because of you." Riley pulled Jordan into a hug. "Not because of me," she said, "because you had the courage to speak first." That night, alone in her hotel room, Riley opened her laptop and started writing an article. The title came easily. "The military taught me how to fight. Healthcare taught me what was worth fighting for." It would be published a few months later. It would start conversations in break rooms all over the country. She closed the laptop, turned off the light, and lay in the dark. Tomorrow she would go back to Ridgemont, put on her scrubs, walk the halls, check on patients, smile at the people she'd fought for. Because real strength, she had learned, wasn't the 2 seconds it took to drop a bully to his knees. It was showing up again the next day, and the day after that, refusing, quietly, again and again, to let fear win. Some wars are fought with weapons. The rest are fought by the ones brave enough to go first, so somebody else doesn't have to fight alone. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new story. Join the Fat Sage Stories family for more powerful, emotional, and inspiring stories every week. See you in the next story.